Hi guys, John Florez again, and boy, this has been a really interesting week, and I want to tell you all about it. Okay. First, I'm feeling a ton better. So, I got 4 months before I can take my final lab, hopefully, that shows that all systems are clear. That would just be great. But in the meantime, yeah, feeling better. Okay, let's get to music. This is just very interesting stuff this week. I traveled the state for Gateway College for the last 12 years administering tests to water and wastewater workers, my buddies. And I love this job. I usually stop at a Denny's, about 40 minutes outside of Tucson. Been doing that for over 10 years. And I've thoroughly enjoyed during that period of time when I sit down and enjoy my meal. There's an Oldies commercial service that has been provided to this Denny's. I don't know if there are others. I assume there are. Certainly in this case, it's not a radio station that's playing. It's a commercial service that provides this Denny's with CDs of classic oldies from my era, the 60s and 70s. I love it. So I'm sitting there this week enjoying my breakfast, and I'm listening to oldies, and uh-oh. I swear to goodness, I can't make this stuff up. The oldies that I heard were not the original oldies. The background tracks appeared to have been AI'd out and then back in with new singers on them. Now, whether they're AI singers or just walk-in singers that re-sang the hits, I don't know, but it was true for every single one of them. Now, this is an enormous royalty problem. Just financially, this is not good for the original artists. But for my listening pleasure, these are not the original cuts, and I miss them. So I went to the manager and I said, "Did you get a new service?" And he said, "No, same service, sending us CDs." And I said, "Well, this should be very interesting. We will see what transpires all across the nation if this is happening," and I assume it is, with artists demanding their royalties. And what about the union musicians, for instance, that play on a lot of these cuts? They are contractually owed their royalties for playing on these cuts. And oh boy, Pandora's box. Maybe it's just Big Brother taking everything over and there's nothing any of us can do about it, but frankly, I don't like it. P.S. These AI-generated oldies do sound pretty good, but they're not the originals. Okay, that's the first thing I had to tell you. If you want to, share on this YouTube channel what you've experienced out and about with AI. Maybe even making your own music with AI. I know I just started doing it. Okay, and then the week's next event is that I get an email from YouTube saying that Sony Music has blocked two of my Fifth Dimension cuts, Best of My Love and Harlem, and they will no longer appear on my site. They say it's copyright infringement. Well, those remasters of mine in one form or another, those two tracks, have been on my site for over 9 years and haven't been blocked until now. And the other two Fifth Dimension tracks from the same album, No Love in the Room and Hardcore Poetry, they're still there. They're not blocked. I don't get it. Now, when I was younger, I would have probably raised a fuss about it and tried to get to the bottom of it. But at my age, no, it's a mosquito bite. It's just annoying, but let's move on. Okay, moving to the last portion of AI, I started using it on my artists. Now, the story goes, Jim Miller from the Gringos, the horn band for decades, very popular on the East Coast and particularly the Cape Cod area. Jim Miller and I were in my high school band together. He was the trumpeter and I played guitar. So Jim had repeatedly asked over the years whether he could get the original tracks to Bobby Brooks's cut Shine On. And I said, we don't have access to them. We cannot get them. Well, Jim AI'd Bobby's vocal out of the track all by itself and then rebuilt the track from the ground up. He used our original background voices and he used the horn arrangements that we had before with the same players that we had before. But that's it. and it is wonderful. I will show it to you when we're ready to distribute it. And I said, Jim, how did you do that? And he said, John, well, just go to this website. It's called LaLal, I think, LA-LAL.ai, I think. And visit it, play with it. It's fun and it's affordable. They give you a few tracks to experiment with, and then they want to sign you up, and it is dirt cheap. Okay, so what did I do with that once I saw what Jim Miller used on Bobby Brooks' Shine On track? I said, oh, well, I can use this for a different purpose. So my current use for this AI tool is to extract parts from the song, because you don't just have to extract the vocal. Here's a graphic showing you what you can do. Okay, so for years, I have wanted to hear more strings on No Love in the Room and Harlem, both fifth dimension cuts. Of course, I'm not going to demonstrate those for you because they may block No Love in the Room, and of course they're not going to allow me to show you Harlem. But here's the scoop behind that. In the original days, Grover Helsley, here's a picture of him, my engineer, he was in charge of everything but the vocals. So I would ride the lead vocal and background vocal levels, and Grover would do everything else. Well, in the case of these two tracks with the fifth dimension, I've listened to them over the years and said, oh, I wish I could have raised the strings. Oh my, it would just a little more. Darnielle Pershing's arrangements are just terrific, and he's known for his strings, and can't I raise them just a little bit? Well, now I have. The website extracted the strings, I dropped it into my tracks, I raised them a little bit, and they sound like I wanted them to 50 years ago. Oh my goodness. Okay, so working with another engineer, Ron Reynolds, here's a picture of him. He's a Country Music Hall of Fame Nashville engineer and a dear friend, he and his wife Jade. May he rest in peace. Same with Grover. May they both rest in peace. I had years worth of fun with both of them. Well, Ron Reynolds out of Nashville is the only engineer that just took charge of everything. So I didn't have to do much while mixing other than make a suggestion or two. But where Ron was weak for me was with background vocals. And I was used to writing those volumes, those levels myself for decades. And in this case, I wasn't really allowed to do it because Ron took charge of everything. So the examples, very quickly, that I'm going to show you are with Bobby Brooks's Born on the Bayou. On Born on the Bayou, the background singers, Laura Creamer, Sue Sheridan, and Andrea Robinson, who sang on lots of my stuff, are just incredible. And Snake, Ron Reynolds, had them at a perfect level for when they sang the echo lines, Born on the Bayou. But throughout the tune, they are going quite powerfully, oop, oop, woo, oop. And because those weren't recorded as loud as the Born on the Bayous, they were lost in the mix. Well, now they're not. Thanks to AI, you can hear those background licks pop out. So here's a quick before and after example of Bobby Brooks's Born on the Bayou with the background voices AI'd into the mix so that they stick out at a higher volume on those subsidiary licks that were being sung. Okay, here you go. So to wrap this up, AI, I don't know. It certainly is useful for those of us that want to do things with them, but I am really appalled how it can be used to circumvent paying artist royalties. That's as powerfully as I can state that. I hope that reaches a good conclusion, like they did, say, back in the Napster and MySpace and YouTube days, where royalties had to be paid after the fact for the illegal shenanigans that were going on at the time. Okay, I guess that's going to do it for today. I sure enjoyed sharing it with you. I hope you did too. And as always, I appreciate you watching. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like the cuts that you want to. And you guys take care, okay? Thanks. Bye-bye.